One of the frameworks which I use in designing courses called social graces. Right now, you actually will see G5, R6, A8C, 8E6, S9 plus. Those are parts of identities which we learn in social work are critical to understand uh, human diversity, where some of them are visible and voiced, others we might not know. They might be visible and unvoiced, invisible and unvoiced, and invisible and voiced. Think about for yourself in categories which you might see, for example, caregiving. You might not be, it might not be visible because no people might not know that you provide care, but you can voice it or you can keep it unvoiced. So you see it, it goes into different quadrants. Each of those graces or our identities will be part of who we are. Each person has them. However, what we've learned in social work that every piece of identity might bring privileges and oppression to who we are based on societal cultural beliefs on what is dominant and what is non-dominant or oppressive factors. So think about gender and diversity of genders and the way how gender might impact your employment, impact your ways of accessing services. So any of this, including geography, where you're born, how it can impact your ability to receive supports, and think all of this in terms of pandemic, how your age will become a risk factor in times of pandemic, even more than in times when pandemic is not present. So think about people living in nursing home and elderly. Uh, it's already vulnerable groups, but in pandemic time, it's become even more vulnerable. Any other factors will also impact, like your ability to have supports, having siblings. If we look on it as you might have siblings who are supportive, that will help you to keep moving, but you might have siblings who are not supportive, and it's not will be seen as a strength factor. So any of those might bring you strengths and opportunities based on position of privilege in society, and at the same time might create a challenge or oppressions which you might face in addition to having general pandemic challenges. You might suffer from, for example, income insecurity, and you not have um, extended family who might not support your uh, meeting your needs. So we need to think in social work how we can support people no matter what uh, graces they are, and ensure that those who currently are living in a state of pandemic where we all live, but in addition to being oppressed by societal cultural values, what we can do to ensure that uh, those elements of our identities so will be uh, recognized and supported to live equitably and focusing on those A's which I highlight in another activity, like making sure that services are adequate, accessible, available, applicable, no matter what is your race, religion, residential school, refugee status, citizenship, capitals, culture, sexual orientation, social media, spirituality. How we can build this into the service delivery and ensure that people have access to services which are adequate, applicable. This is what our future will look like. And hopefully pandemic will show us some of the ways how we can recognize our graces, recognize our differences, and help groups who are currently facing oppression on different individual, cultural, or structural levels find ways to create more equitable, accessible, adequate environment. So keep learning, keep exploring different concerns which groups face or individuals face or society face, because again, it's depending on what level of change you will look and how what can be done on individual cultural, and societal structural level to make things more adequate, accessible, applicable. So keep learning. Read more about social graces in a Burnham article. I will be writing a little bit more on this topic in the future of social policy, and think about pandemic on how each of these factor might be affected more visibly or voiced in pandemic time. Enjoy learning. Keep sharing your identities for your own learning. It's be reflexive of what it means, of what each grace means to you for your uh, future in terms of how you can share your privilege and fight oppressions together. So keep learning and exploring your social graces as you study pandemic social work. Take care.